Welcome to Weather Questions, where we answer the questions on your radar.
Welcome into another week of Weathered Questions, where we are answering the meteorology questions on your radar. Our loyal viewers know that this comes out every Tuesday evening. If you're one of our radio listeners, you're listening on Wednesday morning. But if you are listening already on Tuesday evening, you should know it's Kai's birthday. Happy birthday, Kai.
You caught me on that one. I wasn't expecting that one on this one. Yeah, I am less than 50, but more than 30.
And we won't
leave it right there.
We won't make you tell anymore.
I tell you know what? Here's what we'll do. I'm above freezing. How about that?
There you go. There you go.
I'm officially sweatshirt weather when it comes to age. That'll work.
I'm going to start describing my age in meteorology terms now. I've never done that, but
I've been above freezing for a while, I guess.
I have just a little bit more before forward to the freezing point, and
yeah,
it's all downhill, uphill. I don't know which way it goes.
Oh, it gets better. Life gets so much better. It's fine.
Good.
It's fine. I'm still walking around. Life's good.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I hope you had a happy birthday. Hey, thanks for spending your evening with us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, any time I can go talk about weather. Now my teenage girls, I should say, one's 13, one just turned 11. So she's not officially a teen, but close enough to call her one. You know, they don't talk a lot about weather with dad anymore. So, they kind of do. But at the same time, I just usually get a look and they go back in their rooms. So this time we actually get to, talk about some weather. So let's jump in. It's been getting cooler and cooler. We talked about that last week. It's continuing that trend now, and windier too. But for those folks that especially listen to us in cars, and I know there's a lot of you that are, and thank you for that. Last week, this is a question that came in. Last week, you talked about freezing temperatures and mentioned that these alerts can happen above the freezing point. Is that why bridges always freeze over first? Jan?
I love when our viewers start getting all intellectual on us, and they take what we teach them and they expand it. It's wonderful. So yeah, we talked about how those frost and freeze alerts can happen, anywhere from 28 degrees to 38 degrees. And there's a wide range there, even though the freezing point is 32. And a lot of times you will hear meteorologists talking about the bridges freeze first, or, watch out for bridges as the temperature goes down. And I know a lot of new cars, actually, if the temperature, the thermometer on the car gets below 37, 38, that it'll actually say, watch for ice or caution, or, stuff like that. So why is that? Well, what's happening, it's a little different than that valley stuff that we were talking about and the temperature settling down. What's happening with bridges is that you've got movement of air both above and below that bridge. So as that temperature is cooling down, essentially you have that cooler air under it and over it that's kind of blowing across that surface, and that can kind of cool it down even faster than a road that is over ground, because the ground is actually insulating it. Maybe you've heard of an earth home and how that actually helps kind of insulate things. So the ground naturally is insulating it and all the dirt and everything. So if you're traveling across a roadway that is on the earth, maybe it is to the freezing point. Maybe it is 32 or maybe even slightly above. But maybe it is to the freezing point. And so you're driving along just fine. But then as you hit that bridge and there's cold air above and below it, that concrete or that pavement can cool down even faster than the road around it. And so you might hit a slick spot if it is actively precipitating, or maybe if there's been some melting and refreezing or something like that. So that's why we always say use caution when traveling, especially around those freezing temperatures and there is active precipitation or at least moisture present. And even if there hasn't been actually, active precipitation, Kai, we can also get a little bit of freezing from essentially condensation.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And we see that quite often. And you'll run into that in the early mornings too. You might get some frosty bridge areas that are going through. But to your point about the ground being an insulator, whenever we've got the season's first snowfall, one of the first places to accumulate is going to be on grassy surfaces and not so much on pavement, unless that pavement is elevated. Because then your 32-degree atmosphere, it's going to cool that concrete pretty quickly. And at that point, that's when you could wind up getting some accumulations. Even though this kind of strays from the program for 30 seconds, when you think about how warm the earth actually is, you get 10, 15 feet underground, even 5 feet underground, it's a pretty regulated temperature year round. And that kind of opens up the door for a type of renewable energy called geothermal cooling and heating, where you tap into that air down underneath the earth. What happens is it goes through a pipe and it either warms up in the wintertime to maybe 65 degrees and helps to heat your home. And then in July, when it's so hot above the earth, down about 10, 15 feet, the dirt's still about that same 65-degree temperature. So exactly to your point, the more dirt there is, the more chances are good, at least, the less freezing you're going to have going on. So yeah, those bridges, overpasses, we've seen plenty of accidents on those. And that's one of the tough spots right there. If your commute takes you over freezing, or if it takes you over bridges, especially ones that are near lakes, watch out for that, especially this time of year.
Yep, absolutely. And, we're no strangers, having been meteorologists in the Cedar Rapids area for several years.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of bridges in that city, and they go right along the interstate there. And so that's where a lot of, morning accidents can happen is folks maybe aren't paying attention or just aren't aware of the changes in conditions as they're coming around the curve in the road and going at a high speed, and can reach some of those slick spots rather quickly.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. So moving on, but still talking about temperature changes and such, just not so much with freezing. Kai, we're going to talk a little bit about domes over cities. We've talked a little bit about heat domes, but this time what we're talking about relates more so to precipitation. So the question comes in from Andrew. It says, I've heard people say they have a dome over their city and storms always break before getting there. Is there any truth to that? We've gotten this one a lot.
Yeah, we have. And the truth of the matter is, no, there's no truth to that. There's no physical dome in the area. And I've got some math to kind of share with y'all too about that. But, the people of Cedar Rapids said that for years and years and years.
Every city has it.
Everybody.
The Dome in Omaha. There's, I don't know if the Des Moines Metro has a name for theirs, but everybody seems to think they have a dome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the thing is finally we got hit by a nasty storm. We finally got the derecho to hit Cedar Rapids. And so as a result, they realized, okay, maybe getting the big storms isn't as fun because now we got to get insurance involved and all this other stuff. But the bottom line is cities are actually pretty small targets. That's just a fact. They're pretty darn small targets. And I've got a mathematical example. But first, if we are talking about a protective dome over the city, it's certainly not enough to thwart a storm off in any different direction. But what I have seen is when it does get hot in big cities, sometimes you can pop some additional clouds off of the thermal that comes off the town. But it certainly is not enough to protect you from a storm. And just to run a number by you, so Benton County is a county in Iowa, and it's almost a perfect square. Not quite, but it's almost a perfect square in east central Iowa. Benton County is about 718 square miles when you look at it. The city of Vinton is 5 square miles. So you're talking about an extraordinarily low percentage covered by that town. So if you're a resident of Vinton, you take up less than 1% in the city limits of that entire county. So you're actually a really small target for a tornado to hit, per se, where a tornado may only be 100 yards wide, 200 yards wide even. So now you're statistically even more so unlikely to be, quote unquote, hit by the good stuff. So in short, no, there's no dome over cities that protect anything. I think it more comes down to statistics, and it's not going to cause anything to split around you. Yes, there is that feeling until you get hit. Just like Cedar Rapids did in 2020, just like Parkersburg did in 2008, just like Iowa City did in 98, and then again in 2006 by a huge EF3 that came right through downtown. Your luck will run out eventually, But the fact is, cities are small targets when it comes right down to it, Jan. That's just the fact of it.
Yeah, it all comes down to the statistics of it, like you said, that it's just the likelihood of always getting hit by a rainstorm is just not that great. You're gonna have times where it just misses you to the north or just misses you to the south, just because of the way that the world is, and the fact that if you did get hit every single time, you'd have a lot more problems. You'd be probably living in the bottom of the ocean. So be
Right.
thankful that you don't get hit all the time.
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that. Well, and as the late Dr. Ray Errett would say from Iowa State University, well, that's just life. It's just life. He had a kid once, and I don't even remember this kid's name. He went up to Dr. Errett during our 400 level climate course. It was Climates of the Continents. It was actually a fantastic course. Just talked about the world all over the globe. Yeah. And the guy goes up to Dr. Errett and goes, yeah, can we have a practice test? And he goes, no, just do the homework. And he goes, why can't we have a practice test? And all of a sudden, Dr. Errett goes, well, that's just life. That's what life is. And when Dr. Errett got ticked off, you knew. It's one of those feelings. And everybody in the class is like, oh, dang, this guy just better shut up and leave before Dr. Errett gets any more. So, no, that's just life. You know, some storms miss you, some storms hit you, but you're a really small target in the grand scheme of nature. That is for certain.
Yep. And sometimes life dishes you a blizzard on Halloween. And so that's what we're going to talk about here in our next question. And it's actually our trivia question. So today we're going to head off to the north. We're going to go up to Duluth, Minnesota. And the question today is, in the Halloween blizzard of 1991, how much snow did Duluth get? This is multiple choice. Your answer options are A, 12 inches, B, 19 inches, C, 25 inches, or D, 37 inches. So again, that's the Halloween blizzard of 91 in Duluth, Minnesota. And yes, you did hear correctly. All of those answer options are a foot or more. We'll be back in just a little bit with the answer.
Are you in need of a good family photo, or perhaps you have a son or daughter getting married and you just can't find that diamond in the rough when it comes to getting that perfect photographer? Well, look no further than Iowa's Photographer. Great rates, timely turnaround, and awesome performance. Iowa's Photographer will help you coordinate every step of your big family day. Capturing the beauty of Iowa one photo at a time, head to iowasphotographer.com.
Today's trivia question.
All right, we've had a chance to think about that trivia question. In the Halloween blizzard of 1991, how much snow did Duluth get? A, 12 inches, B, 19 inches, C, 25 inches, or is it D, 37 inches? And just to keep it really easy, Jan, I did round to the nearest inch when we gave all these options. It was very kind because the actual answer is D, 37 inches. And specifically in the climate record, it was 36.9. Close enough. But at the time, that was the state record for a storm total snowfall. At the time, yes, that was surpassed in 1994. So here's the deal on Halloween. Snow began at about 1 o'clock on October 31st. It did not end until 1 o'clock on November 3rd, meaning that snow fell continuously on the city for 72 hours. Trick-or-treating was a mess. Blowing snow was reported for 33 consecutive hours, and winds regularly gusted to between 30 and 40 miles per hour, an 11-hour stretch with visibility of a half mile or less. So, one heck of a snowstorm. And that's the wild part about this time of year.
Yeah.
You get some doozies when it comes to April, May sometimes, and then October, November. Yep. The bookend of winter can be really nasty. And so, given that this is kind of Halloween week, it's just a few days away, I thought it was timely to talk about the big Halloween storm. That was October 31st to November 3rd of 1991. By the way, the Twin Cities got about 20 inches out of that. So it wasn't just Duluth. It hit a lot of people. Even north central Iowa had over 10.
Just wild.
Yeah, pretty big one. Pretty big one.
Yeah. I have been blessed to spend some time in Duluth. That's where I interned, my first internship as a meteorologist. But I was there in the summer, and it's gorgeous in the summer.
Yes, it is.
I cannot imagine 37 inches of snow in one dose, right? Like, we've had winters with that much over the course of it, but that's just wild.
Yeah. Oh, I know it. And, the thing is, too, is you look at the lake, maybe Superior had some enhancement, too, in it, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. 45 inches fell in Superior, actually. It's a town right along the lake. So
yeah,
you talk about
just right across the bridge.
Yeah. And you talk about getting a whole season's worth in a couple of days. It was really impressive when that one came in. No question about it. This year, thankfully, no signs of that, which is great.
Yes, absolutely. We've had plenty of Halloweens where you have to bundle up, have to cover up the costume, and not to say that this won't be happening, but hopefully not 37 inches of snow happening.
That's pretty epic. We did, get a 3 to 6 inch snow event in Cedar Rapids. What was it, 5-6 years ago? Boy, the girls are upset about that. But they still got a great haul in candy, though, man. And that was tough because the sidewalks were icy. That was just a tough one to walk.
Yeah.
So we were just in the grass and our snow boots, and it didn't seem to faze them that much. They were just cold, but they came back and had some candy, and life was good.
Yeah, kids just want to get candy. That's all.
Exactly.
They're excited. They don't care.
Yeah, you got it. No question.
All right. Well, we've dove a little bit into the cold. So let's head back into some warmer weather, some severe weather action here. This question coming in actually from Bill in Nebraska, and he asks, when it was the last EF5 tornado in the U.S.?
Well, that's a great question. And the thing about it is 3 months ago, that would have been May of 2013 down in El Reno, Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. But there was a recent upgrade in the data set, and this has caused all sorts of mixed reaction. And the most recent EF5 now was back in June of this year that hit Enderlin, North Dakota. So you don't think of North Dakota as a huge, EF3 or greater kind of state, but it can certainly happen. And people kind of wonder about why the 90-day delay. This thing was EF4 for so long. What changed? What changed your mind? So Carl Jones is a meteorologist with the Grand Forks NWS office. That's who covers Enderlin. They're the ones, by the way, when there's a tornado that comes through, the National Weather Service office at a local level goes out to survey the damage. And the quote from him is, this particular set of damage that we saw kind of stood out as unique. We wanted to investigate further. And I'll get to the uniqueness in a second. And then, Jan, I'm going to kick it to you to talk about the EF scale and what that all means. Yeah. But they wound up referencing a 2024 study from Western University in Canada that had some of the answers that they needed. And this is a great research paper, and I just have had a chance to read the abstract of it. But the enhanced Fujita scale doesn't cover lofting of vehicles, barrel rolling of vehicles, construction equipment, farming equipment, hay bales, that kind of stuff. So in this unique situation up in Enderlin, the biggest thing that kind of tipped the scale here was a massive train derailment. And we're not just talking about a train tipped over. Mm-hmm. They discovered a tanker car that was tossed 475.7 feet. That's a just tanker. Wild. That is a steel train car. Tossed more than a football field.
And actually, it was full, right?
It looked like the tanker was empty, but the grain cars were full. What it was. Yes. So the grain cars were full. And so you put 2 and 2 together, and they have some debarking of trees going on. They essentially did a forensic damage wind speed investigation. So, of course, on one hand, you've got one portion of the public saying, oh, it's because they needed an EF5. They got to pad their stats. No, that's not the case. What this was is they actually took time and resources at a time, by the way, where NOAA is very short-staffed.
Absolutely.
So teamed up with Canada a bit, try and figure this out, which, by the way, that might sound weird, but Grand Forks ain't that far from Canada.
No.
Hour or two, you're in Canada.
Yeah,
so
less than an hour.
they're neighbors up there. So that was the thing that really tipped over the scales. So their new rating now on this, Jan, is they did not give a upper bound. The lower bound now is 210 miles an hour. Wow. So their peak wind estimate officially in the EF5 database is greater than 210 miles per hour. So that would have been, and it's even spookier. It happened between 11:02 p.m. and 11:21 p.m. So nobody could even see the darn thing. Oh, and by the way, a derecho hit too. Good. So this was a supercell thunderstorm that was spinning up ahead of a derecho that also came through. So that was just a wild night up there.
Yeah, wild dynamics.
Yep. But that's the most recent EF5. But I do want to take some time with you, Jan, to go into the EF scale a little bit, kind of talk about what it is and what kind of factors that the Weather Service really kind of looks for during surveys.
Yeah. So you mentioned that the lower bound on that was 210. So an EF5 starts 200 or greater, or over 200, I guess. The EF4 goes up to 200. So it does pass that threshold with the new damage indicators. But one of the things with the EF scale is, I just noted, damage indicator, right? It's a damaged based scale. So as a meteorologist, whenever we were on air, wall to wall, tracking a tornado, trying to keep everyone safe from it, there was no way at all that we could say, this is an EF4, this is an EF3. It's a post damage, a post event system. That's just how it was developed and how it's done. And people get that confused because hurricanes, for instance, are done differently. Those are rated ahead of time or as they're approaching, but tornadoes are done after the event. And what they are rated on is 28 different damage points. Those can range from something like a tree. And actually there's two different ones, one for hardwood, one for softwood. So depending on the type of tree that it is, that will, depending on how it was snapped or uprooted or something like that, that will cause one of the damage indicators. And there's a whole scale, a whole rubric essentially of, if this tree is a hardwood and it was uprooted, then the wind speed was at least this to this. And you essentially go through all these different damage indicators. Again, we mentioned trees. They've got transmission lines. They've got schools. They've got as things down, like, they'll have apartments, but they'll have things that are maybe constructed with lumber versus constructed with brick and masonry. They'll have different damage indicators for residences versus a doctor's office or something like that. So there's all these different damage indicators. And the survey crew is going through all of these and trying to figure it out. Mind you, as they're going through all of this, a lot of these survey crews maybe haven't been in this town before. Maybe they don't even know what the map looked like prior to them getting there. And so they're trying to just get their bearings as well as trying to figure out, okay, what did this building previously look like? And now what does it look like? So there's a lot of stuff that goes into those damage surveys that take time. And so when we're getting questions about, well, what was it rated? What was it rated? 5 minutes after the tornado goes, back or fizzles out, goes back into the cloud, whatever. That's why it takes so much time, is because they're going through each of these things. But to Kai's point, that scale does not currently include things like automotive vehicles being flung around or train cars being flung around. It also doesn't include things like water towers or, if I recall correctly, I don't think it includes church steeples at this point, which is a very common thing in a lot of towns. And so what they're actually doing right now is redeveloping the scale. It's currently the EF scale, the enhanced Fujita scale. So previously just the Fujita scale. Now it has been enhanced to include these damage indicators, and they're I don't know what they're going to call it, the double enhanced, the enhanced enhanced. I don't know.
I don't know
but
either.
They're going to enhance it again.
Right.
And they're going to add in things like that. that are more common. Here in the Midwest, something that we are very familiar with is corn. And right now, the trees are pretty much the only vegetation that's on this scale. So I don't know if that's in the plans to include anything in like prairie grasses or corn or something, but there are plenty of times where a small tornado gets rated what we would call an EFU, an EF unknown. Haha, very funny. I know everyone loves to laugh about that one. But we have to rate it that because it doesn't hit anything that is a damage indicator. It doesn't hit a power line. It doesn't hit a tree. Yeah. It just hits some corn stalks. So that's why sometimes we don't have ratings for all of our tornadoes, is because it doesn't hit anything that we can rate it at. So this new enhancement of the Fujita scale hopefully will help kind of answer some of those things and make it a little easier for survey crews to maybe get a more defined answer a little faster, so that we don't have things like that are taking, several days, weeks, months to get rated, and that we have things more accounted for.
Right. Well, and, real quick before we close, I just kind of think of this, a good analogy is we're just putting this tornado under instant replay review. We're just going to put it under review. We're going to double check, make sure the ruling is right. And I think they're right. I think they're right to have done that and go do that. And I will tell you, and I know that we're just on audio right now and you can't see screens or anything, but if you've got a moment, just Google up real quick the Enderlin EF5 tornado, and the National Weather Service has a slideshow. And real quick before we close, I'm looking at the train that was derailed, and 4 cars are derailed. And you can see little streaks going through the cornfield where presumably they were drugged for a little bit. The one car that's clear out there in the field has nothing around it. So what does that tell me forensically? It wasn't drug, it fell.
Yeah.
Which means it had to have been picked up and then dropped. That's just an incredible force of nature to do something of that magnitude. And so I think they're spot on, whether it's 200, 210 or more. It's the next EF5, and that's exactly what that was. So if you need some quick media, if you're looking around for that kind of stuff, just Google it, Enderlin, North Dakota. You'll find it from the National Weather Service office there. So, hey, you've now taken another 27 minutes. That was the same duration as last time, Jan. We're on a roll here. We really want to encourage you to submit those weathered questions to us. We want to know what's on your radar. We answered some great questions today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a chance to learn and kind of laugh along with us a little bit. You can email us your questions to weatheredquestions@gmail.com to join in the conversation. Until next week, stay safe.